How to make everything more enjoyable. There is a way that you can make every single thing in your life more enjoyable, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how you do it. Now, how do I know this? Well, when I was 17 years old, I was told by a doctor that I have ADD because I was so lazy, I was so unproductive. He gave me medication and told me my brain didn't work properly and you need to take this medication to make your brain normal, to make you a normal person. Well, 5 years later, and I don't really have ADD. I never really had ADD. I had an issue controlling modern technology. I had an issue with everything in my life stimulating my brain, making me receive less dopamine from everything in my life. It made my life miserable. It made everything difficult, everything unenjoyable. I've been able to completely reverse this. Now everything in my life is enjoyable. Some of the most enjoyable, most exciting things I do in my day are working towards my goals, working out. I'm going to show you exactly how you can make this a reality. So first of all, let's discuss your brain and dopamine. So your brain operates on a reward system, and this reward system is run on a chemical called dopamine. Every time you do something rewarding or enjoyable, or you anticipate doing something rewarding or enjoyable, your brain is going to release this chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is effectively designed to make you feel good. It's to make you enjoy something. Your brain really has this as a way for it to program you to continue to do activities. It's a way of reminding you that was a good thing. I want to reinforce you to continue to do that behavior over and over and over again. Now, if we look even 300 years ago, but more realistically 1,000 years ago, which is really probably where our evolution is up to, we never had a way to receive dopamine without some sort of achievement. The most stimulating thing that you could possibly do, the thing that released the most dopamine possible, would be something like killing an animal to feed your family, or maybe conquering a village, right? Taking over a village to acquire these resources, to acquire things that are going to move your family forward. Now, the most stimulating things that you can do in your life is something like scrolling TikTok, or playing video games, or watching porn. Outside of taking drugs, those are the most stimulating things you can do in your life. What's the difference between what is producing dopamine right now and what is producing dopamine 1,000 years ago is that the things that produce dopamine right now don't move us in any way towards our goals. They are achievement-free dopamine. You don't have to do anything except for sit on your ass and move your fingers a little bit, and you can trigger your brain's reward system to go, good job, you did a great activity there, let me provide you dopamine to reinforce this behavior. And what happens if we keep doing that? If we keep hitting the dopamine button over and over and over again, well, we're going to produce huge spikes of dopamine. Our dopamine levels are going to keep going up and up and up, and our brain's going to go, something ain't right here. Something is a little bit wrong. We need to bring this bloke back to reality because this is strange. So what it's going to do is it's going to reduce the amount of dopamine that your brain releases from everything. Literally every single thing you do is going to produce less dopamine. It's not just that the TikTok scrolling that you're doing is going to produce less dopamine. It's that every single thing in your life is going to produce less dopamine. Brushing your teeth is going to produce less dopamine. Going for a walk is going to produce less dopamine. Talking with your friends is going to produce less dopamine. Everything is going to produce less dopamine. And if everything produces less dopamine, everything becomes less enjoyable. Literally, your entire life, every single thing that you do in your entire life becomes less enjoyable. And the reality is, for most of us, we're just stimulating our brain all day. We're just scrolling all the time. We're watching porn. We're playing video games. We're watching TV. We're doing all these things that stimulate our dopamine so much, but don't actually improve our lives in any way, that we've just made our brains so desensitized to everything that everything is boring. Everything is terrible, and it makes us depressed. It makes us lethargic, low energy, unable to do anything in our lives. It's a serious, serious issue, and every single person is falling for it. By the way, if you guys are enjoying this, if you would like to learn more, I have a completely free course on how you can dopamine detox, how you can rewire your brain to love working hard. You can check that out at school.com/modernmonk. I'll leave a link in the description. Otherwise, keep enjoying the video. So how can you flip the script? How can you make it so everything produces more dopamine, so that you love life more, so everything is more enjoyable? Well, the way you're going to have to do that is you're going to have to start eliminating achievement-free dopamine. So you have to identify what exactly are the things in my life that are stimulating achievement-free dopamine. For most of us, achievement-free dopamine comes from things like scrolling social media, short-form social media content in particular, because it produces huge spikes of dopamine and requires very little time. Things like video games are going to produce it. Things like pornography. Things like watching TV shows. All of these things are producing a huge amount of dopamine, a huge amount of stimulation, but aren't moving you in any way towards your goal. There's two ways that you can identify the worst culprits. Neither one is right or wrong. They're just both different options. The first thing you can do is you can look at, where am I spending the most time? Where am I allocating the most amount of time that is not moving me towards my goals, that is a achievement-free dopamine? For example, if you spent 2 hours a night watching TV shows, then maybe that is where you allocate your most time. And maybe that's the first thing you have to eliminate. On the other hand, another way, which I personally recommend, is you eliminate the item that is receiving the highest spike of dopamine over the shortest period of time. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to remove these peaks as much as possible to bring down our overall dopamine levels so that we build them back up. So probably the most effective way of doing this is going to be to remove the peaks as quickly as possible. Remove those short spikes. So while the things that take up the most time might be something like video games, or it might be something like TV shows, the areas that produce the most spikes over the shortest period of time is going to be slightly different. It's probably going to be something like short form social media content, or pornography. That's another big one. Or even something like junk food. Because the reality is, you might be eating for 3 minutes, but you might produce a huge amount of dopamine from eating that chocolate or eating whatever you're eating that you're not supposed to be eating. But maybe the best way for you to go about it is to eliminate the thing that is providing you with the highest peak in the shortest period of time. Neither way is right or wrong. They're both good options. The first way gets you more of your time back, which is great, because the more time you have, the more time you can allocate to your goals, to moving you, progressing in life in some way. But the other way will probably bring your dopamine levels back to baseline the quickest. So there's no right or wrong there. There's just two options. But your first step is to identify what is the number one thing that is either I'm spending the most time on, or the thing that's providing me the biggest peak in the shortest amount of time. Now, the third thing we have to do is we actually have to remove it. We actually have to remove these things from your life. Now, there's a reason I said choose one and not choose all of them. That's because we're trying to remove these things from our life for good. It's all well and good to just for 30 days do a dopamine fast, but the reality is when that 30 days is up and you just get back on all those devices, all that work is going to be undone. It's just completely useless. It's a complete waste of time. That's why I think if you actually want to do this, you do this for life, or you don't do it at all. Because you're going to see some benefits, you may see a reset, but after 30 days, you're just going to go back to your old habits. These are things that we need to remove for good. So if you want to remove it for good, you don't want to make it difficult. You don't want to make it something that you just fall off the bandwagon straight away because it's so difficult, it's so challenging. That's why I think you want to remove one item at a time. I would say for 30 days, for your first 30 days, only remove one item. Now, you either decide, remove the item that takes up the most time and produces dopamine but doesn't move you towards your goals, or choose the one that gives you the biggest spike in the shortest amount of time. Whichever way it is, I would suggest that you stick with that one thing, just one thing, and say, I'm going to remove this from my life for the next 30 days. That's all I'm going to remove. Obviously, it's not just for 30 days. You want to remove it for good. But for 30 days, we're only focusing on that one thing. We're not going, well, I spend 2 hours a day playing video games and an hour a day watching TV shows and another hour a day scrolling short-form social media and another 5 minutes a day watching porn. I'm going to remove all of those things at once. We're not doing it like that. We're doing it slowly over time because we want to make sure we do this for good. It's not just a temporary fitting. It's permanent. So remove that one thing for 30 days. At the end of that 30 days, you can come back and you can choose item number 2. And then 30 days later, you can choose item number 3. Because sure, in 1 month, you might have only got rid of one thing, but In 6 months, you've got rid of 6 things. You've probably got rid of nearly everything, but you've got rid of it for sure. You haven't just gone all balls deep and then fallen off the bandwagon straight away because it was too difficult. You've actually done it in a sustainable manner where you could remove it slowly over time. You could slowly bring that dopamine down, start enjoying doing difficult things, and you got to a point where life is good, where you've literally made everything in your life more enjoyable. This is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. Don't act as if this is going to take a few days, because the reality is it's probably taken you years and years and years of doing the wrong thing, of just pressing that dopamine button, of just stimulating your brain over and over and over again. If you really think that you can completely change your brain in one day and be fine, you're delusional. And if anyone is telling you that, they're lying to you. The reality is it's probably going to take a bit of time, because you have cooked your brain. You have absolutely cooked your brain, and you're not alone, because there are so many people, everyone, really, every single person right now has completely cooked their brain, and it's not going to take a few days. It might take time, but start this process. Start it now. Say, what is the number one thing that's either taking up all of my time or is providing me the biggest peak of dopamine? Can I get rid of it for 30 days? Of course you can. Of course you can get rid of it. The only thing stopping you from getting rid of it is a limiting belief that you hold in yourself that says, I need this thing. I need that thing. You don't. Trust me, you don't. You will not die if you don't have this thing. I know that your brain has reinforced you to continue to do that behavior over and over again because it's provided you dopamine. It's gone, good job, you just killed 7 woolly mammoths. No, I didn't. I was just watching porn, right? But your brain doesn't know that. Your brain goes, great, dude. You just conquered 7 villages. I want you to keep doing more of that. You've tricked your brain, and although it may have been unintentional, your brain now thinks that you're doing great things, you're progressing in life, but you aren't. And you need to rewire your brain to start rewarding you for actually making progress in your life, actually doing difficult things. And this is how we're going to do it. This is how we make everything in life more enjoyable. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Consistency is going to be optimizing every day of the week. Start with getting one thing out of your life. The only thing stopping you from doing it is limiting beliefs that you hold in your head that are preventing you from moving forward and becoming a better version of yourself. So kill those limiting beliefs, fix your brain, start to love everything in your life. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, please subscribe. This is a new channel, so if you want to be an OG, please subscribe now. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.